So this has a multiplying effect that goes beyond the individual residents that live in these stabilized apartments in such a way that it will have a disastrous effect on our communities. So clearly, the clock is ticking. We're not talking about the clock that ticks in a marathon. We're talking about a clock that's ticking in a sprint, and which means that we don't have much time, which means that this legislation has to move as expeditiously as it has already done in the Assembly in order to protect New Yorkers whose livelihoods and whose homes depend so much on this. So I'm glad that you have brought the clock out so that we can, on a daily basis, keep track and be conscious as to how much time we have left before this disaster takes place. In a way, we've seen disasters in other parts of the world. This disaster is comparable in many respects to the disasters that we have brought relief to. Let's bring relief to those New Yorkers who are suffering under the same kinds of cloud that will hurt them and their families.
We got to make sure that nobody runs the clock out. If any of you know basketball jargon, you know that that's a strategy that's used very often by a coach to win their game. So we're not going to allow the clock to be run out. Let's hear from, whoops.
There you go.
There you go. Too late. Too late.
You already got the.
Okay, let's all go.
It's anxious to be seen.
Let's beat the clock.
The heat is on, let's beat the clock. 63 days, 13 hours, 14 minutes, 35, 34, 33 seconds.
The heat is on. Let's beat the clock. The heat is on. Let's beat the clock.
You gotta come up with better.
Let's hear now with, from Senator Gustavo Rivera.
Of all the Senate districts in the state, #1 in rent-regulated apartments is Senator Espaillat. #2 is mine. I have 72,000 units of rent-regulated apartments in the Northwest Bronx. These are hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers that are at risk of losing their homes. Now we're looking at this clock right here. What this clock signifies is on June 15th, there is a deadline. We don't have any other option. We have to extend it, but more importantly, we have to strengthen them, because it is hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers across my district and certainly millions of New Yorkers across the state that are going to be impacted. This is what we're doing with this clock is we're bringing it to numbers. This is it right here. We have to do this before this clock runs out, because what happened last time was that the clock got right to the end and then the rent laws were weakened. We need to make them stronger. We need to strengthen them, and we need to extend them for the hundreds of thousands, for the millions of New Yorkers across the state of New York.
You said this was comparable to some of the disasters that were responded to.
Well, you know, in other parts of the world, there are all types of disasters. In other parts of the country, there are all types of disasters that we've seen, and we have, as a society, understood that we needed to be helpful. This problem that we are facing will be a comparable disaster to many of our constituents who will have to lose their homes. It will have a comparable effect on our communities where these families do their shopping, on our schools where these families send their children. So this is not just simply a matter of someone losing their home. This is a greater effect than those particular families. It's a community effect. It will be a citywide effect. And in fact, frankly, this is not just for folks in New York City. There are folks outside of the city as well. So we need to come to the rescue as a legislative body and ensure that these families are safe and secure, and that the clock does not run out and force them out of their homes.
But to be clear, you're comparing to, say, the earthquakes or the tsunamis or the...
I'm comparing it to the potential disasters the disasters to some extent that we've seen in other places. For these families, it's comparable. The word you're looking for is tsunami. This will have that kind of effect on people if this clock runs out.
Any other